Of course, it's made from slag and it has high proportion of the mineral elements, in particular iron and calcium, that benefit the marine environment. Triton is mythological Greek god of the sea, having the ability to make the ocean forest overgrown and coral fishes together. The Triton fish shelter provides ideal conditions for the growth of seaweed and other living animals. After first installation of 179 Triton lived in Gammon Island in year 2000, it was expanded to other coastal areas, Pyeongsan, Namhae, and Cheongjin. Up to now, POSCO has built still slag sea forest in 12 coastal sites. The Triton has proved highly effective in terms of enhancing the marine environment for the biodiversity. There has been a dramatic increase in the volume of fish caught in just 18 months, with biomass more than 10 times in Pyeongsan area. We believe that the restoration of the marine ecosystems has contributed to the increase of fishermen's income. This is an example of how byproducts of steel industry can contribute not only to the local economy, but also to preserving biodiversity in the sea. Thank you.
Thanks very much. So we've heard now from a range of companies from sectors where there's a direct impact. And one of the things that I got was scale. 500 quarries, 100,000 employees running long run, low impact, large mining operations. 37 million tonnes of cold steel. I can't even imagine how much that looks like. So one of the things that is scale came through to me. The other one is risk management. It's sort of a risk management approach to starting to address with that, which means companies need to have develop a far greater understanding of these direct impacts and then start measuring, managing, and mitigating. So those are some of the takeaways that I got. Now we're going to move again to a different sector. Two companies who are biodiversity based around forestry and around agriculture. So Peter, if you can kick off, thanks.
Thanks, James, and good morning, everyone. Mondi is an international packaging and paper company operating in 28 countries, and it operates right across the value chain, from the growing of wood to the processing in pulp and paper mills and the conversion into packaging products and other elements. We obviously depend and impact on ecosystems very clearly. That's the base of our raw material. So Mondi's business really depends on them, and our policies, procedures and practice really show a willingness to deal with stakeholders in terms of understanding our impacts and minimizing any negative impacts on that process. So just to illustrate a couple of the proactive elements that we do. Obviously, we're an important participant in the World Business Council. We operate at the Forestry Working Group, the Forestry Solutions Working Group, with some of the largest companies in the world are cooperating on sustainability issues. We were the pilot tester in the Ecosystem Services Review, and a number of other elements there. The other one is we have, in terms of multi-stakeholder process, Mondi has been a sponsor of the Mondi Wetland Program, which in association with that resulted in the development of the delineation procedure for wetlands and riparian areas in South Africa. This we then managed to convince the whole sector to follow us in terms of agreeing this, and it actually has become a national policy now in terms of all land use. So this was again trying to indicate how this process of working with WWF and a local stakeholder called Westra in this case resulted in a very large landscape implementation. Secondly, in Russia, we had another project with, again, the key players, WWF, and the local stakeholder, Silver Tiger. Using that platform, Mondi was, again, the catalyst and the sponsor, and it has resulted in the identification in our big Russian areas of the Komi Republic of 5 very large intact forests that have been identified for protection. One has been registered. So once again, it has this cooperation and collaboration proactively with the key stakeholders, government, NGOs, other companies, and of course the communities. In addition, I think we've really led the way in terms of forest certification in these two areas. All our areas are certified to the Forestry Stewardship Council, which again is a multi-stakeholder process involving social, environmental and economic changes. So we have quite a good record of that and transferring these things in a very large landscape. Thanks, James.
Thanks, Peter. So again, we're around ecosystems and provisioning services. Fibre is an absolutely critical one, and now we'll hear from Juan about another critical ecosystem service, provisioning service, just food.
Yeah. Thanks, James. My name is Juan Gonzalez. I'm working with Syngenta, and Syngenta is a major contributor to the agribusiness. So we are a leading company in the agricultural sector, and we have some 26,000 people at the moment working for us in more than 90 countries around the world. Our philosophy is to be as local as possible, because agriculture is a very local business. You can't run it really with one size fits it all. We work in partnership with many organizations around the world, and our vision is to promote sustainable agricultural practices in farms that are farms of our customers. We aim to deliver sustainable solutions that will transform the way we grow crops all around the world, and we focus not only on crop productivity. I think that's what the main purpose of most of the activities in most companies is, but we really think that we can integrate other parameters into the way we do it, and that means crop management, soil and water conservation, and biodiversity measures, all important ecosystem services that are in and around agriculture and agriculture depends on. The Ecosystem Services Review has provided us with the tool to actually understand the risks and opportunities around agriculture. And Syngenta was among those companies piloting those tools. I guess what we've learned is that there is very complex interactions between biodiversity and agriculture. And it's about understanding those interactions that actually are going to move the systems forward. We think to understand that the future of agriculture depends on protecting the environment that the farms are working on and enhancing the livelihoods at the same time. I think somebody yesterday said it quite eloquently. There is no conservation without prosperity. Those things go hand in hand. And in agriculture, I think it's very predominant that we keep that in mind all the time. One of the major causes for degradation is the lack of prosperity, the need to actually work with nature in a way that provides us the necessary needs to live from it. So we focus on a couple of activities around the farm when promoting productive systems, and these activities typically include soil and water conservation. They include biodiversity, especially pollinating biodiversity. Natural pollinating margins is something that we have piloted a lot. It works very well, provides additional benefits to the farm. We are in the process of actually evaluating what this additional ecosystem services like soil and water conservation and pollination services add to the farm, because at the end, that's the critical challenge, how to value this additional services into your business offer, and that's not that easy yet. And then there's one other point that I would like to mention. Peter mentioned scale, and James just repeated scale. Scale is absolutely crucial in agriculture. There is around 2 billion farmers around the world, and if you really want to transform the way agriculture is done, you have to reach them all. There is no way of just picking and choosing a couple of little projects and go for it. That just doesn't work. So scale is the critical issue. And to scale up solutions and to steadily increase the productivity of agriculture elsewhere, and actually to come and live up to the vision that we've all set ourselves in the Vision 2050 document, to live well within the limits of the planet, and all live well within the limit of the planet. We have to find ways to better engage also with the policy makers, those people that actually set the rules on the ground on how agriculture is managed at a global scale. And a few weeks ago, we therefore launched what we call the Rice Bowl Index. It is a very simple tool to actually map the food security status of countries and regions at a very local scale. We did this in partnership with government officials, universities, experts around the world, intergovernmental organizations. So we gathered information from all of them and developed this open access tool. It's on the internet, you can Google it, you can access it. What it does is actually display the food security status in different regions, but not only that, that would be too static. What it actually does, and that's where we hope to actually gain the scale that we need to implement more sustainable solutions at scale, is that it allows to open a dialogue about the best solutions to address the issue. Addressing the productivity gap that you find out there, addressing the best management practices that are needed in order to close the productivity gap and to reduce the environmental footprint of the operation. So,
2 billion farmers. That's a huge challenge. Thanks very much, Peter and Juan. Now we're going to move, I guess, away from the biodiversity direct impact sector and hear from Dr. Azuhata from Hitachi about his company, what it does, and how they address these issues. Thank you.
Hello everyone, and it's my great pleasure to be here today. First of all, let me briefly introduce our Hitachi Group, founded in 1910. Hitachi Group is a leading global electrical and electronic equipment manufacturer and solution provider with more than 320,000 employees worldwide. Fiscal 2011 consolidated revenues total about 118 billion US dollars. Hitachi focuses on what we call the social innovation business. This is defined as the social infrastructure business, which is run supported by information and telecommunication systems. And we focus on the sophisticated materials and key devices as well, which support the social innovation business. As we strongly believe that such social innovation business should be promoted in a way to achieve a more sustainable society. We have created Hitachi's environmental vision. We are committed to the prevention of global warming, the conservation of resources, and the preservation of ecosystems, which are the three pillars of our vision. Our goal is to achieve a more sustainable society by promoting global production that reduces the environmental burden of a product through its life cycle. The three pillars are closely related to each other, and I'll come back to the topic later. Now I'd like to talk about some of the environmental problems we have experienced in the past. I started to work for Hitachi in 1975, and my first job was the development of DINOx process, which reduces nitrogen oxide emission from gas turbine exhaust gas. In 1970s, management of air and water pollution was a big issue in Japan. Hitachi developed an emission reduction system for thermal power stations and electric and mechanical devices for water purification and sewage treatment. Even at that time, a major subject of concern was how to promote industrialization and urbanization while minimizing the impact on ecosystems. The 1970s oil crisis also had a serious impact to the Japanese economy, The famous book called The Limit to the Growth also influenced our thoughts on fossil energy. Starting at the time, coal, natural gas and nuclear power generation increased, and many companies made a big effort to develop energy-saving technologies and alternative energy sources that provided products for both power generation and for improvement in energy efficiency. Today, even 40 years later, energy and environmental issues remain important subjects for industrial companies. Among the issues, Kyoto Protocol of 1997 gave high priority to the reduction of CO2 in the industry. Moreover, the OECD Environmental Outlook recorded climate change as the most severe threat to biodiversity. As we believe climate change mitigation is the area where we can contribute the most, we have made CO2 reduction our top priority. In addition to reducing CO2 emissions during the production phase, Hitachi wants to supply energy-efficient products and power generation systems using renewable energy. Under this concept, we have a long-term environmental plan, our Environmental Vision 2025. This vision aims to reduce CO2 emissions by 100 million tons per year by 2025 through our products and services. Concerning resource recycling, another pillar of our environmental vision, we operate 3 recycling plants in Japan to recycle materials of used TV sets and home appliances, as well as personal computers, as required by law. As for the preservation of ecosystems, it's difficult to set up and achieve specific targets for endangered species. Nevertheless, Hitachi has technologies and experience that can both maintain high living standards without the environment, such as emissions control systems, IT systems that can improve efficiency of water usage, and effluent water purification systems. There is no single answer to the world's environmental problems. Nevertheless, we remain continuous efforts and inspiring innovation toward the conservation of biodiversity and ecosystems and for the good of mankind. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hazahata. So again, more in the innovation space, developing products to solve some of the solutions around climate, water, but also using, I guess, LCA as a way of looking at your own impacts. Okay, so how many of you have been tweeting? Has anyone been tweeting? No tweeters here? Peter, you haven't done anything? No, not yet. Okay, just checking. Oh, we've got one over there. Okay, so one person tweeting. So just making sure you're focused on what we're saying as opposed to focused on your cell phones, which I forgot to tell you to turn off. Okay, now the theme of the day is changing pace and scale up. This is something WBCSD takes incredibly serious. This is the way we're moving forward. It's always good to see some innovation, good innovation at a pilot level, a company level, but the challenge really is about scaling this up. So we're just going to go back down the panel, shorter interventions. I want to ask the panelists for their thoughts about how scale up, what sort of scale up strategies, either within companies or within sectors or across sectors or across society, they think will make a difference going forward. So we'll start again with Michelle. And again, shorter interventions, let's get some of your future thinking.
So if I think about scale up within our own company, we have 2 challenges that we're working towards. We have all of the tools in place, but now it's about raising the awareness within our own company, with our managers, with our quarry managers, and the capacity building on how to apply the tools and the guidance that we have in place. How do we realize the results on the ground? Helping sites identify their risk classification, helping them develop mining biodiversity management plans. That's one part that we need to work on internally within our own company to scale up across our operations. Another example I would give is scale up across our sector. So we are a founding member am quite active in the Cement Sustainability Initiative, and there we work with our peers and colleagues to focus on this issue through different task forces. In January of this year, we produced guidelines for quarry rehabilitation, which provides clear recommendations and ensures a common understanding across the sector about what we mean when we refer to this topic. So now we have across the cement sector, when we say quarry rehabilitation, what does that mean? And taking that approach, we are currently working on developing guidelines for biodiversity management plans. So when do we apply them, and if we are applying them, what should they entail, so then that way we're all talking the same language. So therefore we're thinking about also what we can do as a company, taking our learnings and transferring it across the sector, and then also learning from our peers on what they're doing and how we can improve what we're doing as well. I'll leave it at that.
So thanks, Sheila. That sector strategy is profiled, for those of you interested, in this new publication that Peter referred to, which is also on the stick. So it's a sector approach. Scaling it through sectors is a really key strategy, I think. Peter?
Thanks very much. I think the thing that